So guys, this is Josh from Casket Comics, bringing you a new comic book day for June 19th, 2024. We'll start out with, we got some DC. Starting out with Hellblazer Dead in America #6. Once again, we pick up with Constantine and his team trying to find Dream's sand that has been stolen from him. We kind of open with a dream sequence with actually Constantine having a moment talking to Swamp Thing, who has connected with the Green and is telling him where the sand is, or where he needs to go to find more of the sand. He says he's being detained, and he found out it's pretty much from these villains, but Dream shows up, kind of gives Constantine a certain talking to, and he wakes up. He kind of gives him the hint that they need to pick up a passenger. So they find this guy who jumps on the bus and tells him he needs to ride, so they assume this is the passenger they pick up. And this guy turns out being a metamancer, which is a person who pretty much whatever they can write can come true, because they're so obsessed with making themselves the center of the story. Constantine describes him pretty much as a piece of crap. And so they go through, they have some crazy adventures because of him, and by the end they kind of realize that he is not the person they were supposed to pick up. They actually pass another person very soon after they pick him up, and they just ignore him, not picking up. They don't want to pick up strangers. So they he ends up taking the sand from Constantine in a very cool way, because you had it's very meta, and Constantine even references kind of the fourth wall break references. He doesn't want to deal with meta, and tries to use the sand to make his stuff a reality. But at the end, Constantine also uses meta and takes the sand back from him from another panel, and ends up kind of feeding his spirit to these monsters who are chasing them. And at the end, they end up having the correct person get on their bus. But Constantine had got shot in the process. But I mean, he's already dead. He's living in a dead shell at this point, so he's not actually dead. And they have another person. This person pretty much starts telling them a story. And he says, at the end of every story, the hitchhiker has vanished, and the hitchhiker vanished as well as John. And that's the end of issue 6. So solid issue. Ready for this series to kind of be over. It's a good series, but I'm kind of curious to see what the conclusion will be. So hopefully then I can pick up some more DC stuff. We'll see. I'm going to be cutting back a little bit on my variants, spending and stuff, saving money. So won't have as many variants. So yeah, here we go into that was DC Comics with Hellblazer Dead in America #6. Now we're going on to Image Comics with Spawn #354. This pretty much still picks up with Spawn and this newly found girl with powers running from the vampires. We finally do get her name. I should have wrote that down. We have a flashback 2 months ago with Spawn. It opens up with Spawn talking to the daughter of his wife, Cyan. Or Cyan. And she pretty much just kind of tells how she's talking to her mother in dreams, but she is still trapped in hell. We get images from them running. We know that Spawn, the symbiote that he has on him, the suit is still active, but it's not. The powers are still, they're kind of fading because they're in the green zone. So they're kind of running from Spawn's friend, who is now his vampire, Fixer, who was working for Wynn, trying to hunt down and capture the girl who's with Spawn. He gets caught by the vampires, and pretty much it seems like he gets taken out. We're not sure. He asks her how she still has powers. He finds out that she is a hybrid. Her mother was from hell. Father was from heaven. Or maybe it was the reverse. But they're on different sides of the war. Spawn, they take a pretty big tumble. And then they pretty much show Spawn a screen that is showing blood. His blood is talking about how he's the master now, how Spawn and them should have been patient to take over hell like he was, and pretty much shows his power by telling Spawn's friend, who is a vampire with them now, Eddie, who Spawn's been trying to find a cure to kill himself, and he just literally starts gouging his own scythe into himself. It's pretty gross. There's not much Spawn can really do. And at the end of the moment, we get an introduction to Jim Downing, who seems to have powers, and he's from Green World. So, pretty good, solid issue. I'm trying to go back through and see where we get the introduction to the character's name. Let's see. Should have wrote this down. This is why I usually take notes. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, apparently, like I said, her parents were from different sides. And that is how she is, yeah. But yeah, we'll figure it out later. But it is a very good issue. Spawn has continued to be really solid since 350, so I've actually enjoyed it. And once again, I always mention it, but the $2.99 price tag is just unbeatable for a comic price right now, so it's still an awesome price. So that is Spawn number 354 from Image Comics. Next, going to IDW Comics. I actually have 7 comics today, and from the 7 comics, it was 6 different studios. So that's kind of cool, or 6 different comic companies. So this one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Run-In 2, Re-Evolution. Finally got issue 2, and only I think they are spaced out. Usually, comics come out monthly. This comic has been spaced out almost 4 months apart. It's just they keep having delays. We kind of pick up with Odin, the turtle who at the end of the last issue got hit with a hammer over his head, but he turned to stone, and he's kind of in like a petrified state. They take him back to the lab, and as they do, he starts to slowly come to and starts to slowly come around. We get April doing some experiments and tests on him, as her daughter Casey is just kind of beside herself and says, I took him out too soon, and then, April says, you did what was the right thing. This is probably going to happen regardless. April starts talking to Zayton, which is Dr. I think it's Honeycutt, who's a robot. The turtles, the villains had created the turtles used to help them, and he's kind of like a cybernetic thing now, talking to April. And they kind of go over where he's just saying he needs more time for the tests. They kind of go into the morals of like, should April have ever mutated these new turtles, and like if the original turtles hadn't been mutated, would all this have happened? So they kind of go into that gray area of maybe she should have just let, she created these new turtles kind of as a comfort to herself, knowing that they would kind of replace the old turtles, but also just being, more needing the comfort of having a family around her besides her daughter. We get some exposition with some of the villains, kind of, who was like the mayor of the city, and the people who are working for the city who should be helping are very kind of like just laid back and aren't really like pushing the gangs. So that's why April and Casey's resistant teams have to step up and fight against them. Casey gets a call from her current date, who kind of tells her that there's a lot going on. She says that she needs some time just because she's kind of stressed out what happened to Odin. And they're just kind of, so they cancel their date, but he also seems like he's with the mayor's office, but helping her, giving her kind of tips, telling her when to avoid the police, since the police kind of consider them as vigilantes. Odin kind of seems back to normal, and the others are kind of really up, still kind of upset. But yeah, you have turtles. They end up being an explosion. 2 gangs end up clashing, and so they have to get caught up, including Odin, to go back into action. They start fighting, and they're trying to save a news reporter who is trapped out in there. I guess it kind of gives them shades of April. They did wear somewhat a little bit of masks this time. They have different like ninja masks on and stuff. It's kind of cool to have their faces. And at the end, one of the flying cop cars gets shot down and is heading for the turtles until who I think is a Yi ends up just like screaming stop and actually creating a force field to protect the turtles from this falling car. and that's where we get the to be continued. And I think that's the whole point of this story being called Re-Evolution, is we're getting new turtles who have new powers. So they don't know them until I guess they discover them. So we'll see if the others have others. Also, Odin during the fight, Odin does learn to tamper with his a little bit. He turns his hand to stone to hit somebody, and he says he can kind of control it a little bit better now. So really good issue. Like I said, the wait's way too long, but I get it. I'm just happy to be reading it. So that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the last run in 2, Re-Evolution, issue 2 from IDW Comics. Going on to Archie Comics, which is a comic book company I never thought I'd really be reading, but then started reading some of their darker stuff with Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and Afterlife with Archie, and now I'm reading Archie Comics presents Judgment Day. This is issue 2. We follow once again kind of Archie and his mission to kill all these eldritch beasts who are taking over Riverdale, and as he's doing it, he's pretty much losing himself more and more to this demonic side. We do get to see who I believe is Betty and Veronica, and they're trying to kind of bring Archie back around, but the other side of him is kind of like influencing him too much, and turning him more and more into a demon himself. As he goes out and kills the others, they come to the point to where there's only 2 left. Their friend Reggie, who's transformed, and Unknown. They go to Pop's Diner, and they're kind of having a talk where, once again, Archie is just kind of losing it now and is saying Jughead's just standing in his way. Pops comes back, and turns out Pops is the other demon that's still left. So Archie ends up taking him out and almost strangling Jughead in the process, because he's just losing control so much. And he realizes that there's one place he would go, that Reggie's going to go, and Reggie pretty much shows up to Betty and Veronica's house. So, and then we get the to be continued for the final issue. It's only a 3-part issue. Really fun read so far. I love all the Archie horror stuff. It's just always it's over the top and fun, and just seeing these characters who are normally like wholesome and just kind of get put in these situations is really interesting. So that is Archie Comics presents Judgment Day, number 2 from Archie Comics. Next, we're going to Boom Studios. We have House of Slaughter, number 24. I'll put the graphic up here. Still behind on this series, trying to catch up. Haven't read it yet, but I will get there. So bear with me. Maybe we'll do it in back issues to catch up. So after we finish Something's Killing the Children. But next with Boom Studios is Uncanny Valley, number 3. This continues to be just such a fun read. You have this kid who finds out pretty much he is the son of a cartoon character and a human. So he is part cartoon, and you kind of pick up with him and his grandfather, who pretty much is, I think he goes by Pecos Bill in this, which is even funnier, but it's pretty much Yosemite Sam. They are on the run, and they go to a shop to pick up some supplies as he's trying to get in touch with his mom. They obviously have, he finally gets in touch with his mom, and gets swiped from him, as we see all these crazy monsters that this evil villain called the First has brought out. But they just keep calling him as, we're going to deliver you to the master. They get into a fight. We see the good guys who are like backup have arrived. And it's funny because we have they're called Mecha Max, Pixie Belle, and we have Kung Fu and Buggy. Buggy is like a car. He's their ride. They get into a giant fight. Pecos is trying to help his grandson, and when he gets in trouble, he actually brings out what is like white out, because even though the characters can't die, they can be whited out, and I guess that kills them. So they're all kind of telling him to watch it, stay back, don't do it. We have the wolf villain attack Pecos, but it's the grandson punches him in the face by stretching his arm out, because he is kind of like the chosen one, because he's half of both. And so they're on the way. They get blocked off by this villain coming out, claiming to be the First, when Pecos is like, I don't understand, but we're taking him to the first, so who are you? So we get kind of that bombshell drop at the end of the issue. Once again, fun issue. Really entertaining. Love the cartoon style drawings mixed with like realistic style drawings. Just really fun. I would definitely recommend picking it up if you haven't. Yeah, good issues. That is Uncanny Valley number 3 from Boom Studios. Final issue of the day, of course, it was going to be last from Marvel Comics. We have Ultimate Spider-Man number 6. Once again, we have Cheto, I think is his name, his last name, picking up drawing duties again. He took a break from, I think, issues 4 and 5, and he is back. And it's evident, like, or it's you can tell his art is just, especially the way he draws the kids in Mary Jane. I really love it. Pretty much open with June, like we have been each month. Peter is pretty beat up, so they are questioning him, and finally Peter comes clean because his daughter kind of almost spoils it and gives away that he is Spider-Man. He's kind of telling them the story of how him and the Green Goblin are going after the Kingpin. They bust through expecting to surprise him, but Kingpin is expecting them. And Kingpin is just as every bit as formidable as he is in the other comics. He pretty much takes them out pretty, not easy, but they are not much of a match for him. He has these symbols on him that actually give him strength and power, so I don't know if it's mystical or if it's like enhancements. He says he's had some work done recently, so I don't know what it is. But he beats the crap out of Goblin to the point to where he breaks Goblin's mask, which is Iron Man armor, so that's pretty strong. And Peter intercepts him. And they also have a really good moment between him and Goblin before they break in, where they're talking about code names. Peter doesn't have one yet, whereas Goblin, he heard himself called the Green Goblin, which he says, I want to pick up my own code name. Then follows up with, but you know what, Green Goblin sounds pretty cool. So he ends up shooting missiles from his glider jet to blow the top of the building up a little bit, and they escape as we have a shot of Fisk just kind of grinning. And so he finishes up the story. They put the kids to bed. The son has a great moment where he tells them to be careful. And then, instead of Mary Jane, she takes her hair down, and you're like, oh God, here we go. Like the typical Mary Jane Peter fight. But she's actually, he just says, how mad are you? And she says, Peter, I'm not mad. A lot of stuff is confusing. A lot of confusing stuff is suddenly making sense, but I'm not mad. She said, I wish you would tell me sooner, but hearing you tell us what happened was scary. And as it was, I'm mostly proud. So like he, since Mary Jane is kind of a designer, he actually, they start talking. He shows her, he's like, you want to see the suit, don't you? So he shows her his suit, and they kind of start talking about it. And he's like, I need you, to come up with a code name for me because I don't have it. And she's just like, you have this really good moment where they're talking to each other, and she's like, oh, Peter, isn't it obvious you're Spider-Man? And you have a really good moment of Mary Jane and Peter web slinging. And this is what the fans want, man. This is people want, they want more, of Mary Jane and Peter being together and, just being happy and not miserable and fighting all the time. So this is great, seeing Mary Jane's support for Peter. Just having, once again, this is just an amazingly written comic. Still the best of the Ultimate Universe. There's not really much more to say. Just great. So that is Ultimate Spider-Man number 6 from Marvel Comics. And we reached our end, guys. I have sent my comics off to get graded along with Blood Hunt number 2. Had to cut back a little bit on the spending of what I was getting graded, so I ended up only getting, counting Blood Hunt number 1, my bad. Counting Blood Hunt and Red Band number 1. I got that one, and I had 3 others of my own, which were the 3 Something's Killing the Children Jenny Frison covers that I had signed by her. I did get Supergirl. My roommate got Supergirl number 2, so we did go over grades for those as well for him. So we'll go over that too when we get them in. Hopefully, like I said, should be 3 or 4 weeks. We'll get them in. Be able to do a cool unboxing video for that. And yeah, I'll be also posting a video, maybe even, probably not both of them today, probably tomorrow for the other one, which will be my recap of HeroesCon. Any of my friends on Facebook, you've seen a lot of my pictures already, but I will show you some pictures of the con, show you some of the autograph stuff, show you some of the commissions I got done, and yeah, just kind of recap it, guys. It was super bittersweet because it always goes by way too fast. You get kind of exhausted over the 3 days, and then you come home, and then you kind of get that con depression where you're just like, man, I want to go back and do it again, and then you have to wait the whole year. So, but that's how it goes. We've got Big Lick Con coming up, Big Lick Comic Con coming up in Roanoke in August, and maybe there's some few others around here I can hit up. So keep me my appetite wet until until we get here con again next year for 2025. So, but as always, guys, keep reading comics, and I appreciate it. See y'all next time.